You're listening to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast, episode number 85.
Welcome to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. Business advice so easy, you'll feel like you're cheating. And now your host, Amy Porterfield.
Hey there, Amy Porterfield here, and welcome to another episode of the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. It means the world to me. Now, today's episode is all about the 5 marketing lessons that have shaped my online business. Now, at the time that this episode goes live, it will be Thanksgiving here in the US. And so because of that, I thought, well, I'll put a little bit of a focus on being thankful in this episode. So I wanted to talk about those 5 marketing lessons I'm most thankful for as they have shaped my business. But I'm always very sensitive about being too indulgent. I don't want to tell you too much about my own personal business experience or what my business looks like without making it really valuable for your business. So with each of these 5 lessons, I'm going to give you some action items that you can run with to make them work inside your business. Now I'm going to share the 5 lessons, and they're kind of deep. They're big lessons. They're not just little tasks or strategies. So because they're big, I want you to choose just one, if you're so inclined, for your own business. Meaning don't try to tackle all 5 of these marketing lessons, but I want to challenge you to find one that really resonates with you and you feel could make a huge difference in your business. So a quick list, and then I'll get into them more specifically. We're going to be talking about masterminding and finding a business coach. Now, I know I've already talked about this inside a different episode, and I'm going to link to that as well. But I'm going to share some more insights that I've never shared before about masterminding and finding a mentor. Now, the second thing I'm going to talk to you about is finding your marketing vehicle sweet spot. And this one's about platform, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in my business and how it made such a huge impact, and then give you some actions to start investigating this in your own business. The third lesson is all about my partnership. Now, you may or may not know that I actually have a business partner, and I've never really talked about him much. And I want to share with you how that happened, when it came about, why it came about, and what it looks like in my business if you've ever thought about maybe adding a partner to the mix. So that one's going to be really transparent. I'm going to share things I've never shared before, but I think it's time for me to talk about my partnership. That would be third. So the fourth lesson is all about affiliate partnerships and my philosophy around affiliates. And again, I've talked about this in past episodes, but I'm going to put a little slant to it and give you some tips to build your own affiliate partnership strategy. And then finally, we are talking about consistency, because if there's any marketing lesson that I need to be even better at and really focus on more and really take seriously, is consistency. So we're going to talk about that, what it looks like, and how we can add more of that to our business. Now, before we get into the 5 marketing lessons that have shaped my business and hopefully will shape yours as well, a quick word from our sponsor. Before we dive in, I want to thank our sponsor today, 99 Designs. Now, I'm such a huge fan of this company because they can take care of all your graphic needs. We're talking logos, social media cover images, website graphics, and so much more. So visit 99designs.com/Amy and get a $99 upgrade for free. Okay, so moving on now into our lesson, I want to start with a quick story. Last night, I was watching Oprah's masterclass. Have you ever seen any of her masterclasses? They are outstanding. So Oprah's masterclasses, they're not just for the ladies. So you gentlemen, I highly recommend it. Hobie was sitting right next to me watching this last night. Basically, what Oprah does is she finds some really prominent people to share their stories, and they share their journey to success in these masterclasses, but they do so by pulling back the curtain and talking about all the obstacles and challenges and the mindset that they actually have in order to get to where they are today. And there are actors like Jeff Bridges and Jane Fonda. There are people like Maya Angelou did one before she passed. Ellen DeGeneres recently did one that was outstanding. And it's so cool to see how they think and the choices that they made to get them to where they are today. Now, as an entrepreneur, I think these lessons are just so invaluable for us. And last night, she had Robert Duvall on. And Robert is an actor, and he's an older gentleman, so he's been doing this for a long time. His very first role was Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird, the movie. And then he's probably best known for Lonesome Dove. So for you all that don't watch Westerns, maybe you don't know him as much, but he's been in some amazing movies. So anyway, that's not the point. The point is he told this story that every entrepreneur listening today will find valuable. I'd be amazed if you didn't. And this is what he said. In his early career, when he was trying to become an actor, he was in New York. And he was taking on all these odd jobs, and they were silly jobs. Like he was packaging women's garments for this company, and he hated that role. And he was doing, working as a waiter, different odd things that he really didn't like. He wasn't getting paid well, and he wasn't really treated well in any of the jobs that he was taking. And then he landed a job at a post office, and it was a good job. He got paid more than he had ever gotten paid before. He knew that if he kept his nose down and got the work done, he was going to move up the ladder. They treated him well. It was just a really good job. Now remember, he took this job to make money while he was trying to become an actor. But he had this realization, and this is what he said. He said, that job was really good, and they were good to me. And I had a moment where I realized, if I don't leave now, I'm going to be here for the next 20 years. Good stuff, right? Just think about it. The job was good. He could get really comfortable there and he could make a great living. And other people thought he had a great job too. Other people would have wanted that job. And he thought, I either need to leave now or stay for the next 20 years. And as an entrepreneur, I thought, wow, that's a great lesson for me and hopefully those listening to my podcast, in that where are we getting so comfortable and disguising it as a great opportunity that we aren't actually moving forward to follow our bigger purpose or our bigger passion? I think we've all been there in small ways and big ways. And I just wanted to challenge you to look at all the opportunities before you and all the activities that you're doing. And are there any that could be holding you back? So for example, in episode number 83, I did an entire episode about the mindset of building an email list. And I shared my own personal story of working with Mike Stelzner and Social Media Examiner in a support role that paid me well and really boosted my ego because I got to work with a lot of amazing people, and it was security. And nothing went wrong with that role, but I had to leave it because I knew I would never go on to the next thing that would get me to where I am in my business today. And that was a really hard decision. And a lot of times we might have opportunities that we're involved in that our family thinks is amazing. And our friends and our peers, I had friends saying, this is a great opportunity. You get to hobnob with some top level social media marketers that you'd never have access to. Why would you not want to stay in that role? And then I had a mentor that said, this role is holding you back. And so that's why I want to get into lesson number 1, which is what a mentor or a mastermind or a business coach can do for you. So before I get there though, I just want to reiterate, I want you to look at all of the things that you're doing in your business and all these opportunities before you. And are any disguised as great opportunities, but are really chokeholds to where you want to get in your business? And is it really difficult to leave, but do you need to leave or move on or end a relationship or whatever it might be in order to really push yourself to the place you want to go? And I thought Robert Duvall's story is just a perfect example of where we might be in our business as well. Okay, so moving on to lesson number 1, I wanted to talk about how a mastermind or a mentor or business coach have truly shaped my business. Now, you've heard me talk about this if you follow any of my podcasts. And actually, episode number 71 is an episode I did with Jamie Tardy, and we talk about masterminding and having a mentor and how important that is. So you could go back there and you could hear some of the things we said there and why it's so valuable. So if you're looking for a mastermind, we're coming up on the new year. If you want to get a mentor, definitely worth checking out episode number 71. So just amyporterfield.com/71. But for the sake of my 5 marketing lessons that have shaped my online business, one thing I wanted to point out is why I chose Marie Forleo as my mentor to hopefully help you decide who you want to choose as your mentor. So one thing that I thought was really cool was that Marie had a business like the business I thought I wanted. Now today, her business looks very different than it did back in 2010 when I started to work with her. And I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted my business to look like, but I knew that she had a really big, valuable, engaged list I knew that she was prominent in social media, like people were finding her everywhere. I knew that she was making really good money and she was selling online. And she was doing so in a way that I thought she had a lot of integrity, a lot of personality and character behind it. And those are things that I really gravitated toward when I didn't really know exactly what my business was going to look like. I also knew I needed somebody that was going to give me some tough love. I'm a sensitive kind of girl. And so sometimes I shy away from criticism because it's going to hurt. I mean, it's the truth. But I also know that I need to be a big girl in this matter. And I needed somebody to say, you're playing small or you're trying to hide and you need to come out from behind the curtains and make a name for yourself. And I also wanted to find a group of women that were better than me. This is something I learned from Tony Robbins. Surround yourself from people that are doing bigger and better things than you so you have something to aspire to. And this mastermind back in 2010 that Marie had created, there were women in there that were doing amazing things. Laura Roeder was one of them. She had already had a really solid business. And again, her business today looks dramatically different than it did back then. And she was doing really well back then. So as like a side note, kind of to take a commercial break, the business you have today might look dramatically different in 2 years, but that doesn't mean you can't be profitable now. So 2 years ago, Laura's business was really focused on building online training programs. And she had some amazing ones that she actually still has today, but that was her focus. She would do, whether it be automated or live launches around these programs, and she had built a multi-million-dollar business. But then somewhere along the way, and I'm sure she tells this story in different podcast interviews she's done, she transitioned into software, and she's since developed Edgar. And we're going to talk about Edgar in more detail in the coming episodes. But she has a dramatically different business. It looks different. It acts differently. And again, it's ultra successful. But that doesn't mean you can't be successful now and still trying to figure out what it might look like down the road. Or maybe you think this is what it's going to look like. And I'm just here to tell you, you might be wrong. It might look dramatically different down the road, and always be open to those possibilities. Okay, so coming back to masterminding and all that good stuff. I share all that with you about what I was looking for in those early years because I want you to get clear what you are looking for. I honestly believe that anybody building their business online should either be part of a mastermind or get a business coach. Or if you're so lucky and you've got someone really close to you that you respect and they do amazing things and they'll be your mentor for free, great. But usually these situations you have to pay for. And I'm actually a big fan of paying for it because I think you got skin in the game and you show up a little bit differently. But what I haven't shared before in other episodes where I've talked about masterminding is that I had a mastermind with Marie Forleo and she was my mentor for 2 full years. And then I went on to do one with my peers for a year and it was not really a good fit. And I've talked about that before. I just felt like the people in that group weren't a good fit for where I wanted to go with my business. And probably even more honestly, their personalities weren't a good fit for mine. I couldn't be myself. I didn't feel comfortable and at peace with who I am. And so it just wasn't a good fit. So I jumped out of that one a little bit early. And then after that, for 2 years, I was in a mastermind with my peers. Some of those people were David Siteman Garland, James Wedmore, Melanie and Devin Duncan, Stu McLaren. Gosh, I hope I'm not missing anyone. I don't think I am. So that was my group up until months ago. Probably, I don't know, I shouldn't say months ago, probably 6-7 months ago. We met for about 2 years. Now, we disbanded the group because we were all kind of going in different directions and our businesses had grown in a way that it just wasn't supporting everyone anymore. And I actually don't know all the answers to why it didn't work. It's just we decided, okay, it's run its course. Maybe some things were unsaid of why some people decided it wasn't for them. But for a good 2 years, multi-million-dollar businesses were built. Like I know that many of us in that group went from having a 6-figure business to having a 7-figure business based on the support for each other. So I did that. And then I decided to get a business coach. So this is the part I haven't shared before. So what I decided to do is get a business coach to really focus specifically on my mindset as well as my daily habits and where I was spending my time. So I hired Todd Herman, who I've interviewed on the show before, and I'll link to his show as well. But he became my business coach throughout most of this year. And what I love about that is that he knows me well, and he knows the areas where I'm sensitive or where I might have blinders on, and he knows where I want to go in my business. So we did a full day of a business assessment. And then from there, I talk to him about once a week. And if I don't need to talk to him that week, I skip it and talk to him later. But we do check in about once a week if I need it. And it could be 10 minutes or it can be an hour. He's really available in terms of what I need. And so we did a whole day of business assessment, and then we would talk once a week. So I talk to him once a week, and if I don't need to talk to him this week, then I'll just skip it till next time. And it might be a 10-minute chat or it might be an hour chat, just depending on what's going on. And to help some of you understand kind of what it looks like with working with a business coach, here's some things I might talk to him about. If I'm having some hiring issues, or if I need some ideas in terms of where I'm going to find somebody that I want to hire. Some of the things that came out of working with Todd this year, he found me the most amazing copywriter that I use all the time now. He actually had the idea of going live with a webinar course, which turned out to be my most successful course all year. So that came from Todd's encouragement. And then we might talk about some communication issues I'm having with my team, or some areas that I'm feeling really anxious about. Or many times we've talked about how I'm spending my time and where that's getting in the way from actually meeting some big deadlines. So every time we talk, it's different. And if I come to the table and say, I don't feel like I have anything to talk about today, like sometimes it's, if you've ever gone to therapy and you look at your therapist and you think like, I have nothing to talk about. And then that therapist can pull it out of you instantly. Well, that's what a good business coach does as well. So he'll say, okay, well, let's talk about this. And he knows exactly where to go with the conversation. So that's always a good sign of a good business coach. Now, thinking about finding a good business coach, so this is different than a mastermind, but if you're looking for a good business coach, I always like to hire someone that I've had some interaction with. And so that's when it becomes really valuable to get yourself out of your comfort zone and go to some events, meet some people, start kind of connecting with people that you might never have had opportunities to connect with before. And you tend to be led to the right people that can help your business. So for me, Todd was actually a guest at one of our masterminds. So he came to Kiowa, which is where we were in the Carolinas. And he came and he spent a few days with us, and I instantly liked him, and I knew that he could like really get me. Now, what I don't love is just hearing that someone's good, you calling them up, have one session with them on the phone and then hire them. To me, I feel like that is a little bit more dangerous because you're not exactly sure if they're a good fit. So having the opportunity to be with Todd in person for a few days proved to be really valuable. So that's where I could make a good argument for getting out of your comfort zone, traveling a little bit, going to some networking events, meeting some people that could really become valuable in your life in terms of being a business coach. Now, you don't always have the opportunity to meet with them in person. I get it. So if that's not the case, then go with your gut in terms of what feels right. But what I thought I would do to make this more actionable for you, because I do believe, again, I'm going to say it, that everybody should consider at least joining a mastermind, whether it be paid or free. Usually the paid ones happen to be more valuable when you're newer in your business, or getting a business coach. I think everybody can find immense value from those situations. So I want to give you some suggestions. So over on my show notes, I'm going to list a group of masterminds or personal business coaches that I would suggest. Now, for the record, the list I'm thinking of, I haven't had direct contact with all of them, but I've heard great things about some of them if I haven't been directly involved. And so just know they come highly recommended from some of my peers. So I'm going to list some of those over on my show notes. So you can go to amyporterfield.com/85. You can get that list of mastermind groups and business coaches that I highly recommend. And then what I want you to do is, if you haven't listened to episode number 71 yet with me and Jamie Tardy talking about mastermind sessions and how to create your own, if that's something that you want to do, then definitely check out amyporterfield.com/71. So to wrap up business lesson number 1, find yourself a mastermind or a business coach. And before you do so, sit down and write down some qualities that you're looking for, some results that you're looking for, and write down some of the characteristics or the specific strategies that you would love to see your business coach or the mastermind leader actually doing in their business. So characteristics that they have in terms of their work ethic and balancing time and family and work and all that good stuff. And then strategies, like what do you want them to be really good at? Like for Marie Forleo, she was really good at list building. So it's no coincidence that list building happens to be one of my specialties. And so you really want to kind of spend some time, let's say a good 20 minutes, just brainstorming what you're looking for. Plus, I believe in manifesting what you want. And if you spend some time really putting it down on paper, what you're looking for in a mastermind or a business coach, you're one step further to actually finding it. So that's my challenge for you. Okay, moving on to business lesson number 2. This one is all about your marketing vehicle sweet spot. So let me talk about this a little bit and then I'll make it actionable for you. I believe that we all should have a platform. And by platform, I'm personally talking about one area in our business that happens to be the megaphone for our message. So Michael Hyatt talks a lot about platform and building your platform, and he does it in a bigger way. And so if you want to learn more about platform and blogging and social media marketing and really building a presence online and an impact, I think Michael Hyatt's your guy. And I'll link to some of my favorite articles about platforms from Michael in my show notes at amyporterfield.com/85. But what I'm talking about specifically here is finding your megaphone to enhance your message all over the web. Now, it could be your blog, it could be a podcast, it could be webinars, and it could be something totally different like video or Periscope or YouTube or whatever it might be. Now, why this was so important for me to share with you here today is that I am definitely not good at consistent blogging. However, you might be, and that might be a perfect platform or marketing vehicle for you. But I knew that I had some skill set in terms of creating this podcast and having this conversation with you weekly. And so I decided to try the podcasting vehicle. Now, in the beginning, it was always going well, like it's always been kind of my thing. However, then I decided let's enhance it even more, and with most of my episodes offer a freebie. And then let's enhance it even more and make this more consistent, which is a marketing lesson we'll talk about, number 5, more consistent with a weekly podcast. And you've heard me say this in shows before, but I wanted to make it very personal to you in that when I went weekly and when I added a list building vehicle to my podcast, my business dramatically changed. And by dramatically changed, what I mean is that I started seeing more consistent sales. I started seeing bigger opportunities during my launches. I started seeing people buy that had just had a little glimpse of me on a podcast. And also, I started to get more reach with people I never would have reached before. So, do I think podcasts are a great idea for many entrepreneurs? I do. And I think that if you don't know anything about podcasting, there are some really, really good courses out there all about getting started with a podcast. And I think you should look into them. John Lee Dumas and Paul Culligan both have podcasting courses, and I'll link to them in my show notes. Wow, there's going to be a lot of links in that show note, right? So I'll link to those. But I do believe that having a podcast could open up amazing doors for you. But let's say you don't feel comfortable with that. Well, then you need to find one area where you do feel comfortable. And maybe you're not going to feel comfortable in the very beginning with anything, and that's okay. But it's a combination of what you love to do, like what you're actually enjoying, what you will do consistently, and what your audience wants as well. But I think you're safe to choose either blogging or podcasting or some kind of video. I think all 3 of those translate well over so many different niches. But my challenge to you is to finally choose yours. Decide what you're going to stay committed to and don't get off course with that. Because podcasting has not been easy for me at all, to tell you the truth. Getting a weekly podcast up every week has been torturous sometimes because I want them all to be these mini trainings. I don't like to do a lot of interviews. So the mini trainings are like 5,000 times more work. And so I want them to be a certain way. And so I'm pushing myself to make it happen, but I still haven't really found my groove like I was hoping to. And that's okay. I'm still going to keep doing it because I've seen it dramatically change my impact in my business. So I want you to find yours. And it might mean that you need to dabble in some of those things before you feel really confident, or you might already know what it is and you need to really focus right there. Now, I love episodes that are right before the new year, but don't worry, if you're listening to this and we're already in the new year, you can apply this at any time. But I really love looking at what do you want your next year to look like and how you're going to get there. And look at it this way. You could dabble with blogging, maybe think about podcasting, maybe make some videos, and maybe post on your blog every few weeks and hope that something starts to click. Or you can commit to one marketing vehicle that will be your sweet spot and you get really good there. When you're marketing online, you do not need to be a jack of all trades. I promise you, you do not need to be everywhere all the time. But if you really hone in on your skill set and what makes you happy and where you can have your megaphone the loudest, you will start making a bigger impact, maybe with a smaller group, but who cares? Because if it's a small but mighty group, not only is the impact big, but the profits can be big. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're floundering a little bit or if you're dabbling a lot, let's zero in on the one thing. Now, another thing that you can add to that mix, I believe that podcasting is my marketing vehicle sweet spot. But I also believe that webinars are, let's say, the secondary marketing vehicle sweet spot. Now, webinars are great for selling. You've heard me talk about webinars for like the last month or so. And obviously, I believe in the power of webinars. But where I see it as my marketing vehicle sweet spot is that no matter if people buy or not on my webinars, they've just sat through an hour of free content. And it's my best content because I spend weeks perfecting those webinars. And so one lesson that you might want to take away from today is that I don't reinvent the wheel and I keep doing what's working. And so with my webinar, so the webinar on webinars that I recently launched, I continue to do that live every week. So we've opened up the course again, and now every week I deliver a free webinar about webinars. And I do that consistently. And it's become a really great megaphone for me because even when people don't buy, and if you think about it, the majority of people on my webinar are not going to buy right away, but I just got to knock their socks off with some amazing content. Just as powerful as a podcast, if not even more, because they get to see the examples I'm talking about. So you can have some secondary megaphones in your business for sure. I think it's important to choose that one that you're doing weekly. I do believe that it should be weekly original content. And is it going to happen every week? Probably not, but at least strive for that. And then from there, having maybe a secondary platform like a webinar or whatever it might be, maybe it's just pure email marketing for you, whatever you choose, but a way to communicate with the audience you've already attracted. I think podcasts and webinars are a great way to attract a new audience, but build a solid relationship with those that you've already captured their interest and attention. So I think it's twofold in that respect. But I also wanted to tell you that now that we are doing these live weekly webinars for my webinar course, it's now open so that you can get on a webinar if you weren't on one before. So you can go to amyporterfield.com/free training and you can get on a live webinar with me this week, or if you've missed it this week, next week. We're only doing this for a month or so to see how it goes, but you can get on a webinar with me and learn how I use webinars in my business and how you can too. So if you missed that when we launched live back in September, here's your opportunity, amyporterfield.com/free training. Okay, so moving on to the next one. This is the one where I'm going to be really transparent and share some things that I've never shared. Now, I actually did share this story recently on Casey Graham's podcast. And Casey has this awesome podcast called the 7-Figure CEO Podcast. And he brings people on that have built 7-figure businesses and he really dissects those businesses. Great podcast. I recommend it to everybody looking to build their business. But he started asking me about my partnership. And I realized, holy cow, this is something I've never really publicly talked about. And I felt really vulnerable on that episode. And then I thought, this is what I need to talk about. Usually when I feel really vulnerable, it's something that I need to do more of. So let's talk about this. You may or may not know that I have a business partner inside amyporterfield.com. and his name is Devin Duncan. He is the husband of Melanie Duncan, who I talk a lot about in terms of her Pinterest and overall online marketing trainings that I absolutely love. We've been affiliates for each other for years now. Well, Devin Duncan was actually in that mastermind that I did for 2 years, the last mastermind I was in. And so I want to tell you how it all came about if you're curious as to how I got into a partnership. So I'd been building my business since 2009, 2010, and it was the end of 2013, and I was doing really well. I had hit $950,000 in revenue in my business by the end of 2013, almost $1 million business, and I was feeling really good. I was also feeling like, how am I going to expand this? And feeling really overwhelmed with the tech side of things and the bigger tech strategy of how I wanted my business to look. Well, at that time inside our mastermind, Devin was running ads for Melanie's business, and he was literally generating $1,000 a day in net revenue with his Facebook ads, and they were selling a $97 program. And I was running ads and I was doing well, but I wasn't generating $1,000 a day net. And so I thought, wait a second. So I called up Devin and I said, actually, I take that back because there's a lesson to be learned here. I went to a basketball game with Devin for his birthday. He invited a bunch of people to a Clippers game. He's this huge basketball fan. And we were talking on the bus ride back from LA, and he was telling me about what he was doing. And he made this weird comment. He said, imagine if I do that with Pinterest. You know, they were selling a Pinterest product. If I can do that with a Pinterest product, what could I do with a Facebook product? And in my head, I was like, ding, 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 because I had a $97 Facebook product. So the next day I called Devin and I said, what do you think about helping me with my ads to get them to $1,000 a day? And you can take a cut of that. Because if I'm getting $1,000 a day, then I'm more than happy to give someone a cut of that if they can get me there. And he thought about it and he came back and said, what about doing something a little bit more long-term, a little bit more in-depth? I'm in it for the long haul. And so I said, I'm intrigued. Let's talk. So later on, we met at a hotel, and Melanie sat down with us too. She's a huge mastermind in terms of the big picture of what a business could look like. And so the three of us sat down and we started to talk about what a partnership could look like, and specifically what Devin's role would be and what my role would be. And over a few hours, I started to think this could be really cool, because here's why, and here's the lesson for you. The reason I chose Devin to be a partner in my business is because he's extremely strategic. I mean, this guy is strategic to the core, and he knows the tech side of things. We both use Infusionsoft. He's like a campaign mastermind. Like, he understands how those campaigns work inside Infusionsoft, how to automate them, how to make them better. Like, that's how his brain works. He thinks in numbers and I do not. That's just the truth. And so when he's seeing, this goes here and that goes there, I feel like he's way more mathematical than I am. And he's much more technology savvy than I am. And right there, I thought, okay, that's huge for me. And at the same time, he's not extremely skilled in creating content. Like, I'm sure he could, but that's not any area he wants to spend time in. So the content creation and the entire branding with content is not something that he wants to spend his time on. And so we instantly realized we have two very different skill sets. Another thing that I joke about with Devin is that I'm extremely sensitive, which I've mentioned like 3 times on this podcast today, and he is not at all. However, he has a soft side to him that when I get extremely emotional or sensitive or worried, is usually how it shows up. He's able to at least respect that and talk to me about it. And he knows if we have a conversation about it, I'm good. It's like with my husband. If we get in a fight and if we just talk it out, I am totally golden. But if words are left unsaid, I am a mess inside. Like, it eats me up. And so with my business relationship, that still comes out, and Devin's aware of it. And I'm very aware that he's logical. And I'm very aware that I can't come to him with a million problems without being ready to solve them with him. He's a problem solver through and through. So the lesson here for you is, if you've ever thought of creating a partnership, I want you to think about where your strengths are and where you want to be spending time. Because the coolest thing that I love most about our partnership is Devin does not even try to direct me in terms of what kind of content I create. He is not in my ear telling me what to do on my podcast. He's in my ear talking about opportunities for sponsorships. He's in my ear talking about list building with podcasts. This was his idea to build our list through our podcast episodes. That kind of thing, he's a genius with. But he's not trying to steer my content in a certain way because this is my thing. I love creating mini trainings for you all, and I love creating content that I think will resonate in your own businesses. And if I had someone telling me what to do with my content, I'd feel very, very stifled, and I'd feel like I had a boss. And it never feels like Devin's my boss, and I'm sure he'd say it never feels like I'm his boss. And so that part works really well because we have very clear lines of separation. Now, another thing is, some of you might be thinking, well, how does the money work? Well, without getting into some really personal things, because this is Devin's business as much as mine, so I want to respect that. I had already created almost $1 million business. And so he respected that and knew that. So when it comes down to paying ourselves every quarter, I definitely reap the benefits of already building a business. And so, I mean, in plain talk, I get some off the top just because this was already a really successful business before he came in. Now, it is a much more successful business since he's become a partner of mine. Like, I have no doubt a huge portion of my success has been directly attributed to the relationship that Devin and I have as a partner. So I will say, like, looking back, he has dramatically changed my life in terms of the success I can have in my business. He also is always pushing the envelope a little bit more than I am. So I'm more sensitive about emailing my list too much so that I burn out my list. And I'm more sensitive about really being careful not to promote too much or too close to another promotion and all that good stuff. And he respects that, and it's important to him, but he also will push it a little bit further. And pushing it a little bit further took me out of my comfort zone, which is something we've been talking a lot about in this episode, right? And so because he pushes me, he's the one who said, okay, we're going to do 3 emails on a cart close day. Now, just in case Stu McLaren is listening, Stu's idea was to do 2, and that got me past 1. So in a mastermind, I told the guys, I'm doing 1 email on cart close day, and Stu says, no, you're not, you're doing 2. And then months down the road, Devin says, we're doing 3. We do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 at night. Now, we're only emailing people that are literally clicking and not buying yet. So we're segmenting the list, but we do 3 emails on a cart close day, which is kind of aggressive if you ask me. I would have never done that without some pushing, but it's turned out to be amazingly successful for all my little procrastinators that want to wait till the last minute, which I can relate. So anyway, I tell you about this partnership, 1, to tell you the business that I've built, I haven't done alone. And I feel like I need to give credit to Devin because he's been a huge part of it. So if Devin's listening, thank you so much for all you've done inside this business as a partner with me. And thank you for caring so much about this business like you had created it on your own. And that's truly what he does for me. And so I'm thankful for that. Back to the focus of our Thanksgiving episode. But for any of you that are thinking about maybe bringing on a partner or maybe doing something with a partner, maybe it's not having them take a portion of your business, but having them get involved at a certain level. Be really, really careful that the 2 of you are very different. I think that's important. You each have to have your own skill sets, and you have to constantly have conversations about roles. So I will tell you, it's been the most amazing experience ever partnering with Devin, and I can't wait to see what we do in the future. However, we have had our moments. We've had arguments. Now, Devin would laugh at that because Devin does not argue. I'm Italian, and I'll get heated up for sure. But we've had issues where, wait a second, I thought you were handling that, or I thought you were handling that, or who is the player right now in this project? Like, what is our team supposed to be doing? Or we had a really big situation recently where we hired a project manager and we weren't meeting with her weekly. And so she actually came to me and said, Amy, I feel like mom's telling me to do one thing and dad's telling me to do another. And I feel very awkward and torn between the 2. And that's what was happening. And so what we did, and this is Devin being the problem solver, he's like, let's get on the phone twice a week with our new project manager. So the 3 of us, twice a week, 8 a.m., Mondays and Thursdays, we get on the phone with Chloe, our project manager, and we let her first update us where we are with the project she's working on, because she usually works on the big ones. And then we let her ask any questions she might have about team or technology or a process or a system or just a breakdown in communication. She gets to address it and it's done. And I haven't had one concern from Chloe since then. So it was painful though for a good 30 days. I didn't realize like, why is this not working with this new project manager? And it was Devin and I that were totally getting in the way of her success. So just a small shift of these weekly meetings has been huge. So anyway, we do have our challenges, and that I think is normal between any partner, but you also have to have constant communication. Like I talk to Devin probably 5 times a day via Skype, and we're always in communication. So just a little bit of insight into my business and the fact that I do have this partner, and I call him a silent partner, even though he's not so silent anymore, right? Because it's still my brand, it's still my name, and he is the machine behind so much of this going forward. And so just wanted to kind of share that with you because I never have done that before. Okay, moving on to lesson number 4. So we had the first lesson was all about masterminding and a business coach, something I would love to see you do in 2016. The second lesson is about finding your marketing vehicle sweet spot, whether it be podcasting, blogging, video, maybe it's webinars solely, whatever it might be. I think we all need to have that one megaphone that we call our own, and we're really confident in that one area. And then third, partnership, just in case you've ever thought about partnering with anyone, or if you just wanted some detail about how I've been running my business lately. And then number 4 is affiliate partnerships. Now I talked about this in another episode. Again, a lot of what I'm talking about today, I've mentioned here and there on different episodes, but I wanted to bring it together into one because affiliate partnerships have truly shaped my business in terms of impact and revenue. And they're not the only thing, of course, but they have been a big piece of it. So here are some secrets that I have, or some tips I have for you to get really clear on how to use affiliates. So I'm not actually talking about affiliates for my own programs. I talked about that in one of my former episodes. I'll link to it in the show notes. So if you're thinking about bringing affiliates on, I did an Ask Amy episode, and I showed you behind the scenes of a really simple affiliate membership site that we set up. Super, super simple. I showed you a video of what that looks like and how you can do that. So if you're thinking about bringing affiliates on to sell your own stuff, I'm going to direct you in the show notes to that Ask Amy episode. But right now I want to talk to you about being an affiliate for somebody else. And my secret sauce to that, because I've made millions from affiliate partnerships I've done, but the secret sauce is to find just a few and to believe in them wholeheartedly. So one way to know if you believe in it or not, or if you're doing it just for the money, is that ask yourself, would I talk about this product, program, or service if I weren't getting paid to do so? Or have I talked about it in the past without using an affiliate link? And there's 2 things that I talk about all the time. If you can guess, you get a virtual fake prize. That's no fun, huh? But you get a virtual hug if you can get these right. There's 2 that I talk about all the time, even when I'm not getting paid to talk about them. Can you guess? Well, the first one, if you listen to my podcast, I know you got it right, which is lead pages. I talk about lead pages all the time because I believe that it is the easiest way, or it is the easiest tool to use to build your list. And I also do webinars. I just did a promo webinar with lead pages last week, and we did that through my affiliate link. So I definitely generate revenue from affiliate sales with lead pages, but there's many, many times I don't get a cent for it, but I still talk about it, like right now. So I believe that lead pages is a huge, huge, valuable tool to add to your business. And the reason I believe in it so much is because I use it. So that's another thing. When you're thinking about who you want to promote, do you use their tools and how do you use them? And we'll get into the how do you use them and what to do to take advantage of that in a moment. The other one, can you guess, is Marie Forleo's B School. And I'll be talking about this again in January and February when she launches B School again. I go all out for that promotion because I believe in it so much. It's like the next best thing to her live mastermind she used to do years ago. And I know what it can do for your business because I am a child of B School. I graduated from B School and I've seen it change and transform my business many times over. So those are the 2 that I talk about and I promote a lot. And there's been some others for sure, but those are the 2 most prominent ones. So my challenge to you is if you've been thinking about affiliate marketing, the first thing is you do want to grow your own list before you can really make an impact with somebody else's program, product, or service. Sure, you can run ads to their program, product, or service, but you're spending money to make money. Although, that's the way we do marketing, right? But you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money in affiliate marketing to make money if you have a list. So I think list building is most important. So if you haven't really focused on your list, you want episode number 83 and 84 that I've just done all about list building. But if you do have a list, then finding those few affiliate partners that you really want to go all out for can make a huge difference in your revenue. So here's 2 things I want you to take away from this training in terms of affiliate marketing. 1, I want you to build a bonus for each of them. Let's say you choose 2. So for lead pages, when I did a webinar, I built a bonus of 10 ways I've used lead pages, and I've showed pictures and put a little commentary below each of the examples. So my audience could see, I love this tool. I use it. Here's proof. Here's how you can model my strategies as well. So I did a bonus for my affiliate promo. For B School, I go all out because it's a more expensive program. It's a $2,000 program. So I do bonuses like how to run an entire Facebook ad campaign to grow your email list, or I do live events so people can come to San Diego and meet with me. I do a private Facebook group where I'm extremely active for a certain period of time and answer any question they have about B School that maybe they're not going to get support in the bigger B School group. And I do other bonuses that are very, very detailed, and I only make them for my B School students. So that's another thing when you're doing an affiliate promo. A lot of people will tell you, just repurpose old stuff that you have and make into bonuses. I don't think that's the way to go. I think if you're going to really give your all to an affiliate partnership, you make those bonuses specifically to those people that buy that affiliate program. So you'll hear me mention B School throughout all of my B School bonuses because I made those videos and trainings just for them. And then when they come to my live event, it's only B School students because it's just for them. It's a bonus I spent a lot of money on, a live event that they get to come because they signed up through my affiliate link. So bonuses definitely change the game in terms of your affiliate partnership success. The other thing is be consistent. So with lead pages, I've launched it twice this year through a webinar. So Tim Page, one of the big shots over at Lead Pages, hosted webinars for my own audience. He might have been on one. He did an amazing one just last week. It was so good. And so I partner with them, and I did that 2 times this year. I already had it on the calendar in January, and I told Tim we're going to do one in the summer and one in the fall. So please be ready for that. And then we kind of solidified the dates as they got closer. But I let them know I'm serious about this. I'm going to do it. And then they are more willing to work with me, and they helped me create some awesome bonuses on their end as well. So when they know you're organized, when affiliates know you're organized and you're serious about this and you get it on the calendar, they want to work with you, which is kind of cool. The other thing is I also incorporate lead pages into my paid programs, and I have this 60-day free trial, and I only offer that inside my paid programs. That was something that lead pages also helped me with. So I use it in my paid programs. I use it in live promos. I promote lead pages in many different places. And then with B School, I do it every single year, and I talk about it, just like I'm talking about it now, throughout the year to start helping people understand if they might be a good fit for a program like B School. If you're just starting out in your business or you've been at it for a while and you're not seeing the results you want, and you really want a foundation, you want to develop content regularly, you want to grow your email regularly, you want to develop a message, and you want to really understand who your ideal audience is, and you want to use free traffic in order to build your platform, that's what B School is all about. So I talk about it even before I promote it, just to help people start realizing if this is something they want to pay attention to when I actually start to promote it. So consistency in your messaging around your affiliate partnerships, so very valuable. But again, if you'll talk about it even when you don't get paid, it's something you definitely want to look into in terms of becoming an affiliate partner for that product, service, or program. Okay, so we are moving on. And the last lesson that I want to talk to you about is consistency. Now, I have brought this word up in many of my podcast episodes, but I want to be really clear that the reason I'm most thankful for this marketing lesson is it has allowed me to build confidence in myself. And here's why. You've probably heard me mention that I have been doing a weekly podcast all year. I've missed 1 week. And other than that, we have been able to get out a show once a week. And the reason that's such a big deal to me is that I never knew I could be consistent because I really struggle with it. Like, even though I've gotten an episode out once a week, that's not saying that maybe it was recorded 2 days before it went live. Like that's how messy it can be at sometimes. Sometimes I'm totally in front of this whole thing and I've got 5 or 6 in the can, but that's rare. And so with consistency, one tip I want to give you, and I'm really thankful for, is to have somebody on your team that will make you be consistent. And here's an example. So Travinia is my assistant. She has been for years now. And she is the one who will say, all right, Amy, I need number 85 2 weeks in advance. And then we're 1 week in advance. And she says, Amy, you're going to miss your week. How about this topic? Or how about that topic? Or what do you think of this freebie or anything like that? And so she really pushes me to be consistent. She's that voice in my head that I want to ignore most of the time, but she's right. If it weren't for Travinia to push me along, because this is my area of weakness, it's where I struggle, I would not have gotten this podcast to be a weekly podcast. So who could you ask for support in your world in terms of being more consistent? Now, let's scale this back a little bit and let's just choose one area in your business where you know if you're more consistent, you'll make a bigger impact and more money. And those two things are really important to me. Of course, I want to make a bigger impact, meaning I want to impact your business and help you and support you. And I'm running a business. I would love to also bring in revenue when I do that. So impact and revenue to me are really important to consider when you're thinking of consistency. Where could you be more consistent in your business in order to generate more impact and more revenue? And just pick one area. Because when we get into the habit of making that one area a priority and we do it for long enough, it's going to become easier. I promise you that. This definitely has become easier than earlier in the year, but it's still a battle sometimes. And I have to be honest with you guys because I hate when people are acting like everything's so easy and smooth, and that's a lie. So this podcast has not been easy or smooth, but I also know that it's making a huge impact. And just recently, this is really cool. The other night I was at home, I think it was like a Saturday night, and Travinia doesn't typically text me on the weekends. And I got a text and she said, Amy, did you know you were on MSNBC? I'm like, what are you talking about? And she linked me to a video that was actually on TV on Sunday mornings. It's like this business channel on MSNBC in the mornings. And it was a woman talking about 5 podcasts to help you keep learning. And she mentioned John Lee Dumas's Entrepreneur on Fire, Andrew Warner's Mixergy, Tim Ferriss's podcast, Darren Rouse's podcast, Pro Blogger, and mine. And I got to tell you guys a little secret. When I was watching the video, I thought, oh, there's some mistake. There's no way they're going to lump me into that list. Like these are amazing guys that I've always followed and loved. And so I'm watching it thinking like, oh, I must be mentioned like in the notes below these 5 she's going to mention. This is seriously what's going through my mind. So any of you that think you doubt yourself or have that negative talk and you think it probably will go away and you'll be a better marketer when it does, I don't think it ever goes away. You just got to manage it a little bit better. So I had that moment though, where I'm like, there's no way she's going to mention me. And then she mentioned me and I'm thinking like, holy cow. Now, you want to know secretly why that was such a big deal to me? Well, let's not tell anybody, but I have a really big crush on Matt Lauer. Now that is weird, right? I totally get it. I've been watching the Today Show with my mom when I used to live at home. And then when I moved out, every morning I watch probably 10 minutes of the Today Show. The first 10 minutes is the best. And I love Matt Lauer. I think he's the coolest guy. Don't worry, my husband Hobie is well aware of this. He knows I've got this inappropriate crush with Matt Lauer, and so be it. But Matt Lauer's on NBC. So I told Travinia, there's no coincidence, and our 7 degrees of separation just got a whole lot closer with that little mention on MSNBC. I was very proud of myself because of that. So as a side note, just to put it out there, when I see that my podcast gets mentioned on MSNBC, I think, okay, so we must be doing something right. It may be messy on the other end. It may not feel totally comfortable even till today, but I can get there and I'm going to keep doing it. So those little wins, I want you to take them. When you see little wins along the way of you trying to be more consistent, you grab those and you take them and you remember them and you be really, really proud of them because those little wins get you to that big result of truly being consistent where it all starts to lock in. And I'll keep you all updated when this podcasting once a week becomes more smooth and streamlined and more batched in my business. But I'm just going to keep being honest with you and tell you it's not there yet. We will get there. And when I crack the code in my own business, I'll be more than happy to share it with you and sing it from the rooftops because I want that more than anything. So there you have it. I know I covered a lot. We got a little bit personal here, and I really did try to make it more actionable for you as well. Remember the challenge at the top of the hour, and that was to just find one. So for you, it might be mastermind, mentorship, business coach. Or the second one was really getting clear on your marketing vehicle sweet spot, blogging, podcasting, video, webinars. What is it going to be for you? And let's not worry about the other stuff until you get that locked in. The third one was about partnerships and why I'm in a partnership, what it looks like, some of the challenges I've had, and what you want to think about when you're looking for a partner for your business, which is kind of a big deal, or when you're looking for a partner for maybe just a small project. And you know what? One thing I forgot to tell you that I wanted to really hit home with, I was really, really scared to go into a partnership with Devin because I was afraid I was going to lose control of my business. I mean, I left a 9-to-5 knowing that I wanted to be my own boss and do my own thing and not have anybody tell me what to do. So starting a partnership, I got really scared. Like, what if the partnership doesn't work and everything I created goes away? Because then I ventured into my business is his business now. And so I thought, what if this all explodes and I lose everything? Well, one thing we did is we put in some safeguards, through contracts and agreements. But the other thing is I just had to follow my gut and know that I was getting in business with a really good person that I can trust and that will take care of my business like it was his own. And so that I had to kind of have faith, quite honestly, because I was very, very concerned. You know me, I'm a worrier. So I had every scenario in my head already worked out as to how this could be doom and gloom. So just know that I went there for sure. And I was very, very concerned and worried and scared. And I still did it because I knew in my gut it was probably going to be an amazing experience. And I had to follow that. So I forgot to mention the scary part. It was definitely there. And sometimes it even still pops up, but I can quiet that voice a whole lot faster when I look at the results in this awesome relationship we have. So the third lesson was my partnership. The fourth marketing lesson that I'm most thankful for are my affiliate partnerships with B-School and Lead Pages. And my challenge to you was find those that you talk about even when you weren't getting paid to promote them and look into them further and see if you might become part of that program, product, or service. Meaning I feel like I am part of B-School and I feel like I'm part of Lead Pages in terms of understanding it, knowing it, and using it and spreading the word. So yes, those aren't my businesses, but I feel a very big connection with both. And then lastly, consistency, something I struggle with every single day, but I still do it and I still focus on the importance of it. I love what Michael Hyatt said. I was listening to one of his podcasts and he said, if you're not consistent, you're non-existent. Oh, that one hit me in the heart because I thought, okay, he's right in this very busy, crazy social media marketing, online marketing world. That if you're not consistent, you're non-existent. Choose one thing to become more consistent with in your business and put that as your focus. So there you have it. I hope you found all of this so extremely valuable for your own business and you're going to choose one as your challenge. And if you're wondering what the freebie is for this episode, because I'm now doing my webinar about webinars live again, I want to invite you to come join me. So if you go to amyporterfield.com/free training, you can jump on a live webinar with me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I'm going to share with you exactly how I do webinars and how you can do them in your business. The webinar title is called How to Create a 5-Figure Webinar, even if you do not have an email list. There are so many real examples in that webinar that you can actually take and use in your own business that you definitely do not want to miss this. I'm so proud of this free training. amyporterfield.com/free training to sign up and grab your spot and meet me there live. Thank you so very much for being here. Before we jump off, a quick final word about our sponsor. And finally, I want to thank our sponsor, 99 Designs. Now, when you market online, it's really difficult to stand out from all of that online noise clutter. So how do you do it? Well, I think you do it through impeccable branding, and that includes your logo, your social media cover images, your website, and everything in between. At 99 Designs, you can get anything designed in just a week, for a startup-friendly price. So to give you a little something extra, when you go to 99designs.com/Amy, you'll get a $99 upgrade for free. That upgrade makes your design contest stand out from all the others and bumps you to the top of the list so more designers can see your contest. So make sure to check out 99designs.com/Amy. Okay, so again, thank you so much for being here. I hope you found some valuable lessons in my 5 marketing lessons that have shaped my business. If you want, tell me which one you're going to take on as your challenge, where you're going to focus. I'd love to hear from you. And I cannot wait to connect with you again next week. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast at www.amyporterfield.com.